Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the NFL Draft Triple Take, Round 2, presented by UPMC. Mike Prisuta, along with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson. We have been breaking it down position by position, not just once, but twice, because why do something just once when you can do it a second time, leading up to an event as important as the NFL Draft. And guys, we are here to talk about quarterbacks today, but before we do so, I want to remind everyone who's found us out there that all these videos will be shared on Steelers.com, the Steelers mobile app, and the Steelers official YouTube page. You can catch the audio on the Triple Take podcast and on Steelers Nation Radio. And if you're looking to download that Triple Take podcast, you can do that wherever you download your favorite on-demand audio content. Guys, it's been really hard to do anything draft related this offseason without getting around to talking about quarterbacks. There seems to be a plethora of them, but the guy I want to talk about first and foremost is Mac Jones from Alabama, because, he was kind of, at least in my interpretation, maybe the last of the big five, if you will, when this process started. And I don't know that he's that anymore. I had him 3 on my initial list. But, Matt, has this guy slowly but steadily climbed the ranks, and might he be the third guy taken?
I think he very well might be the third guy taken. I have a hard time condoning that. I mean, I really think you're buying a nice, steady, gas-efficient sedan for the price of a Lamborghini. I just don't understand. And the logic behind it is, he does exactly what the coaches want. He's highly, highly efficient. He's great from the neck up. And I know people bash him. Anyone could succeed in Alabama. But if you just isolate his play, he knows where to go with the football. It comes out on time. It's accurate. But things don't always go to script. And in this league, with the defensive linemen having such an advantage over offensive linemen to the point that they don't even call holding anymore, sometimes you have to do things off script. And he just doesn't have the physical tools to do that at this level, in my opinion.
Yeah, I noticed that they don't say of Trevor Lawrence anybody could do that at Clemson. They got some pretty good guys too.
Right.
Yeah, I hear you on all that, and I'm not. A lot of the talk that Trevor Lawrence is the best prospect to come out since Andrew Luck. I don't know if I'm ready to go that far. There've been some pretty good prospects, including that guy in Kansas City who've done pretty well for themselves since Andrew Luck came out. But I get it, and I get why, you look at Mac Jones and you say, when I compare him to the other 4 guys, he's not the athlete of the other 4 guys. He doesn't have the arm strength of any of the other 4 guys. The only place where he may be better off than those guys is again with the processing. Is that good enough to take him number 3? A lot of people think that's what's going to happen. That's why the 49ers traded up. So, if that happens, he'll be the third guy taken, and they'll live with it. History tells us, though, that of these 5 guys who are going to go in the first round, and they may all go in the top 10, they're not all going to work out. So, trying to figure out who that guy is that isn't going to work out, or several guys that aren't going to work out, is always the fun part of this.
I want to get both of your guys' opinion on what I'm about to broach here, and I'm talking specifically about Mac Jones here. I'm not comparing him to the other 4. A, is the athleticism more than good enough? And B, Matt, at quarterback, maybe more than anywhere else, when you have a guy who checks every intangible box and looks like a guy, it's not going to be too big for him. He's going to prepare, and he's smart enough to figure it all out. Isn't that more important at quarterback than it is anywhere else?
It's a great conversation, because he could be an outlier. We've seen so many quarterbacks, including going back to Ben and Russell Wilson, where they relied early on, as they learned the game, on great physical tools, because it just takes a while. The guys that are dominating the league from the shoulders up are 40, and they've been doing this a very long time. Can he come in and do that from day one with a great help from a supporting staff and a coaching staff? Perhaps, but we haven't really seen it. I mean, guys survive on traits and athleticism as they learn a very, very difficult position. And to your first question, sure, if the field's totally open, can he scramble for 5 yards and slide and get a first down? Yes. Can he shrug off defenders and create? Not so much. He moves pretty well within the pocket. He is no threat to carry the football, so people will defend him differently, and it'll be harder for him for that reason. So in terms of athleticism, I would rank him certainly in the bottom third of starting quarterbacks and near the bottom of that.
Yeah, and I think, there's a difference between reading defenses at the college level where your typical game, you're maybe seeing, a handful of different defenses. They're not getting real exotic with you, as opposed to doing it at the NFL level where he's going to see things he's never seen before with athletes he's never seen it before, even though he played in the SEC. So, it's still going to be a jump up for him in competition level and what he's seeing on the football field. So, yeah, he may have diagnosed cover 2 really well in college, but they're going to disguise it way better at the pro level. They're gonna make it look like something else and then morph into it. So how quickly can he make those kind of adjustments, during the snap as well?
And the key too is, let's say he does go to San Francisco, and twice a year his left guard has no chance of blocking Aaron Donald. Well, then what happens?
Well, I think, Aaron Donald's got a pretty good track record as to what happens, but he does that to veterans as well as rookies too, doesn't he? I mean, that's no doubt. That's not a Mac Jones problem. That's a left guard problem, isn't it?
It then becomes a Mac Jones problem, though.
Yeah. Dale, let's stick with you
here. It
quickly
degenerates there into a big problem for the quarterback.
Let's just say Aaron Donald is a causer of problems for many, and they are great. Dale, let's stay with you here. The guy who's number 6, maybe that was more unclear at the start of this pre-draft process than it is now. Is that guy Davis Mills of Stanford? And is it because, as Daniel Jeremiah pointed out on the NFL Network, he is a guy who executes graduate-level quarterbacking in terms of the ability to move the safety and manipulate and kind of pick the defense apart, which a lot of the big, fast, strong, athletic guys don't have that going for them either.
Yeah, I mean, that's a patience thing, I think, that quarterbacks have to learn. A lot of these scrambling, running quarterbacks, if the first read isn't there or the second read isn't there, they just take off. Where, you get the guys like a Mac Jones or a Davis Mills who are a little more patient in the pocket and try to manipulate the secondary a little bit. Davis Mills is interesting. He was the number 1 pocket quarterback coming out in his class. And just for a myriad of different reasons, only made 13 career starts, including COVID last year, all the things that happened there. But there are tools there that people liked when he was coming out of high school and that they still like. You just wonder, though, he's only thrown 438 collegiate passes. Is that enough? Is that enough to go off of? He's athletic enough. He's certainly, no stiff. He's the exact same size as Mac Jones. I'll go back to the Kyle Trask conversation we had the first time around with this. If Davis Mills had been at Alabama and Mac Jones at Stanford, are these two guys flip-flopped right now?
Matt, what do you think? Are they?
I don't know. I mean, Mac Jones pretty much had the best season of any, quarterback ever in college football. And we said the same thing about Joe Burrow, but it's a valid point. I mean, certainly more eyes would be on them. They'd be on, it'd be played deeper into the season, playoffs and all those things. I like Mills a lot. I think there's a ton to work with there, and Dale summed him up really well. He's a real quick decision maker too. I mean, he processes things really well. He is a pocket passer in a traditional manner, but his tests at his pro day were a little better than I would have guessed. He ran under a 4.8. His 3-cone drill was actually quite good. So I hate to say, guys are stocks on the rise or stocks are dropping, because these teams know all these guys well. But you can see why somebody might look at him and say, give him a year or so and he's going to be a solid NFL starter.
That flip-flop in theory of Mills and Mac Jones, it brings to mind something that was said about Bear Bryant long ago, and it might have been Bum Phillips, but the line was, he's such a good coach. He can take his'n and beat yourn, or he can take yourn and beat his'n.
Yeah. Why anybody would want to take yourn, I have no idea.
Well, it's maybe we've all moved on from that. Before we wrap up quarterback look number 2, anybody else that's jumping in there? Is Kellen Mond making an argument, or is it the top 5, Mills, and then everybody else?
There's some interesting guys here, Mike, and you mentioned Kellen Mond. When we talk about Mac Jones or Davis Mills or even Trey Lance, there's not a large body of work there. Kellen Mond has thrown over 1,350 collegiate passes. I mean, scouts will know pretty much what he is. So he's much more experienced when it comes to what you see on the field. And one guy that is kind of intriguing is Felipe Franks out of Arkansas. 6'7", 234 pounds, and ran a 4.55 40. He's got a big arm. I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's a quarterback. He can throw the ball miles.
Trask ran out of Florida, right?
Yeah, yeah. But 6'7", 234, he's a heck of an athlete to run, in the 4.5s. You could bring him in, try him out at quarterback for a year or two. If it doesn't work out, say, hey, kid, you want to try to be a red zone target here or something like that? I mean, I just think that he's that kind of athlete.
Yeah, I mentioned him too, thinking he might take the Logan Thomas path, the Virginia Tech quarterback, very similar traits, who's now turned into.
It's worked out really well, hasn't it?
Yeah, he's been a pretty darn good tight end for Washington, and they're very similar physically.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for our second session on quarterbacks. Before we wrap it up today, I want to remind everyone that all these videos will be shared on Steelers.com, the Steelers mobile app, and the Steelers official YouTube page. You can catch the audio on the Triple Take podcast and Steelers Nation Radio. And if you're looking to subscribe to the Triple Take podcast, you can do that wherever you download your favorite on-demand audio content. We will be back soon with yet another further review of still another position in advance of the NFL draft. Until then, for Matt Williamson and Dale Lolley, I'm Mike Prisuta. You've been listening to the NFL Draft Triple Take presented by UPMC.